Hello, hello. Welcome all to Sanctuary Boston for our worship gathering this evening. What do we say in the pre-welcome? What are the logistics?
You're welcome to stand or sit as you want, dance along, stretch in the aisles, add some harmonies.
Yes.
Those things. Sing like you're singing in the shower.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Those are the things to know. If you're like me, maybe you had a long day and you could use a deep breath. So let's start with that. The song says, "Courage, my friend. You do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home." Courage, my friend. You do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. That's the whole thing. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit. I'm going to keep on singing a few more times through. I invite you to continue to breathe deep. Try out some new harmonies. This is a good one to try out some new ones. I'll invite you to rise in body or spirit, if that's good for your body or your spirit. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. One more. Courage, my friend, you do not go alone. We will go with you and sing your spirit home. We will go with you and sing your spirit home and sing your spirit home. take a deep breath. You may remain risen for some more singing.
As Ashley adjusts to the microphone, we welcome Ashley Mulcair as our substitute Mark David Buckles for the evening. Our music director, Mark David, is on family vacation. We're really grateful that Ashley stepped into the breach. And I'm up here also with Bran and Joe. This is Lucas, there's Tayward, and Matt.
And thank you to you all for making it possible for this to happen without Mark David's skills. Okay.
Your eyes.
Mark David.
Too many papers up here. So, as we prepare to light our flaming chalice, the symbol that connects us with Unitarian Universalist communities around the world, we bring in our remote chalice lighter from the great city of New York, the Sanctuary Boston beloved Karishma Gottfried. And as Karishma leads us in our chalice lighting words, as they're coming up on the screen here, invite you to take a slower, fuller breath, whether you're joining us at home or online, as we come together. We'll let you know. Can't you go?
Go.
We can hear you go.
Go ahead, Krishma.
Hi, it's good to be with you. These words are from the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know not that you can do whatever you want. You are not a kudzu vine eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside you are entire universes. Milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise.
Well, welcome all to Sanctuary Boston, a community of vibrant worship and real connection, grounded in Unitarian Universalism and open to seekers of all kinds. My name is Matt, and I'm the Director of Operations and Community Life here at Sanctuary, and it's so good to be with you. I'm so looking forward to the rest of our gathering this evening, as Reverend Brand is going to be offering a reflection that I got to hear because I'm in the reflection coaching team, which is one of the really joyful teams to be a part of, and so I got a sneak preview, and no spoilers, but it's just going to be so good. Brian will be talking a little bit about finding our true selves and honoring those selves and being present in our bodies. And I was thinking about that as I came across this quote from Adrienne Marie Brown, who's talking in this essay or this, poem about the way of the healthy nomad. And one of the pieces of advice that she offers is to remember that the sacred space is inside. It is my body and it is worn on my face. And I was thinking about that because one of the hobbies that I took up during the pandemic, I know some of you learned to make bread or started knitting more or reading more. My main hobby that I took up was playing video games. And then I took up TikTok. And then there was this one day where I found myself watching a TikTok where people were debating, they were watching somebody play a video game and debating the critique about the video game. And I realized that I was not only was I not in my body present, not only was I not doing my life in that moment, not only was I not playing a video game, but I was watching people discuss people who critique people who play video games. And I thought, I am 3 steps removed from reality right now. And I'm not giving up video games, but I have set an intention this year to be a little more present in my body, to pay a little more attention to my breath, to pay a little more attention to my surroundings, to spend just at least a little less time on screens. Because as Brand will be talking about, to know ourselves, we have to pay attention to ourselves. We have to go within. And to honor ourselves, we have to know what's in there. And so I invite you to do that this evening. I'm so grateful for Sanctuary because this is a place to pay attention to our bodies, to our hearts. For those of you joining us online, I hope that you'll say hello and connect in the chat with each other and make those connections even across the distance. I also hope that you'll make dinner and have dinner or do some chores or fold some laundry if that's what you need to feel grounded and settled this evening. For those of you here in person, I hope that you'll sing out loudly or sit in silence if that's what you need. I hope that you'll lie down in these comfy non-pews if that's what you need, or that you'll dance in the aisles if that's what you need. Take some time this evening, dear ones, to listen to your body, to listen to your spirit, to sing it home to a place of grounding, a place of connection and reflection. With that, let's take another deep breath. And we'll welcome each other into this place which is made sacred by your presence here. Those of you both in person and joining from afar online, I'm going to invite two of the facilitators of one of our small groups. The small group for ex-evangelicals and religious healing are going to come up and lead our words of welcome. And you can read along with whatever phrases or fonts most resonate for you.
Whether you go to church on Sunday morning,
or light candles on Friday nights,
whether you've been hurt by religion,
saved by it,
or some of both,
whether you're a brand new seeker or brand new to spiritual community,
or seasoned seeker,
whoever you are, whatever you are,
wherever you are on your journey,
we welcome you. Thank you for being here tonight, and I now invite you to greet your neighbor. So introduce yourself to someone new, say hello to our Zoom folks on the camera, and if you are on Zoom, we invite you to say hello and let folks know where you're joining from in the chat.
Going to invite you into a singing meditation before we hear from Brianne. If you want to take a minute to find some presence in this moment, take a breath. And we'll sing together. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. That's the whole song. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. I will believe the truth
myself, no matter how beautiful it is. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. I will believe the truth about myself, believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. No matter how beautiful it is. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is.
Everything that the government could possibly need to know about my identity can be found in a bright yellow folder which I keep in a secure place, labeled Documents. It contains a rough outline of my life, my birth certificate, my first driver's license, my GED, my marriage certificate, and the document that I fought for hardest of all, my certificate of legal name change. I started the process of making my name change official in 2010, and after a long and complicated battle with the New Jersey court system, it was finalized at last in the state of Massachusetts in 2016. Now my passport will tell you what I've long considered to be true, that my name is Miranda Lennox. And I know this may come as a surprise, but the name that I go by most, Bran, is actually a shortened form of Miranda. I love my name, and I have no intention of changing it again. Changing your name is hard. I'm not just talking about background checks and a never-ending series of phone calls to the court who can't seem to locate your file. It's also a hard social process. If I remember correctly, I took on the name first when I was 14, but no one really called me by it until I left home and began introducing myself to new people with it. I didn't originally change my name for gender reasons. My birth name was actually more gender neutral than Miranda, but because the name I'd been given at birth never really felt true for me. My whole childhood, it felt like I was a pepper shaker labeled Salt, and I went through a series of increasingly outlandish nicknames in an attempt to get some relief from it. When people ask me how I found my name, I always say that my name found me. I saw it on the spine of a book in the library, and I knew right away that it was mine. Discovering the nickname Bran was a very similar process. I was searching for about 4 years for the right variation, which more easily represented my gender presentation, and then one day I saw Bran in a list of Irish mythological figures, and knew immediately that I had found it. But back when I originally retired my birth name, the social response was not so smooth. The people who knew me growing up had trouble understanding why I would want to change my name. A lot of people close to me found it hard to remember not to call me by my old name. Some people thought it was ridiculous, immature, or even insulting for me to ask them not to use my old name. After I moved away, it was hard because I couldn't afford to change it legally yet, and it made a lot of things confusing when my documents didn't match the name that people knew for me. These days, a lot of those troubles are behind me, but I'm endlessly thankful to the people who surround me nowadays and how they were much more gracious about adjusting to Bran. Even so, it's still nerve-wracking to tell people about this history. It's always hardest when people interpret it as an invented identity rather than an affirmed identity. Now that I spend a lot of my social time in queer and trans circles, I find myself surrounded by people with chosen names. It's a common in-joke that non-binary people tend to name themselves after the nearest noun. Stone, cricket, morning, pecan, clay. It was much to my chagrin when I realized that Bran is also a noun. But the truth is that discovering a name is a sacred process that takes time, energy, and sometimes quite a bit of trial and error. I certainly feel the magic of names expressed through love and appreciation when a friend shares their naming journey with me. There's an indescribable beauty in this expression of self-discovery, and it resonates in tune with the forms of self-becoming we find in the journeys of trans and gender nonconforming people. One of the criticisms that I hear most about the increasing prevalence of non-traditional relationships to gender, as well as the practice of renaming, is that it contributes to a culture of individualism. And I would argue that it's far from it if you put it in the right context. Now, if someone is receiving non-traditional gender expression as people trying to force them to call us by a certain name or pronouns to externally reinforce an invented identity, then it makes sense that that would feel divisive, right? But what if instead this were all about people offering up their true self to the best of their knowledge, knowing that honesty and vulnerability are the foundation of a healthy community? What's more, if you are part of a community that affirms people as they share their truths, it will give you the same care and support when you inevitably learn something new about yourself. It helps us all to be part of this type of dynamic. I have no real unified theory on why some names feel right to us and others don't fit or stop fitting at some point. I do, however, have a theory of gender that I'm willing to share. I'm aware that this is nowhere near a universally accepted line of thinking, even within trans community, but I've grown rather attached to it for my own understanding of the world. I believe that gender is a spiritual construct. We know that it can't be a physical designation. Even if it's conflated with biological sex, there is a wide variation in how humans develop. Could it be a social designation? Well, it's often treated as such, but gender is deeply personal. Sometimes we play with the social elements of how gender is expressed, perceived, and responded to, but that interaction is not determinative. I have known people in their 70s and 80s who have been closeted their entire lives and intend to remain that way, and yet have still been their true gender in their heart all along. And when we grow too attached to a social definition of gender, we also risk reinforcing the lies which patriarchy teaches about how to perform a gender role correctly. Collectively, I think we're ready to accept the need to let go of assigning a feminine or masculine nature to certain garments, features, activities, and personal traits. So if gender isn't physical or social, then maybe it's cultural. That makes sense, right? A common suggestion is that gender is how a person is perceived in context. Well, where that breaks down for me is that then I would be one gender here at Sanctuary, and a different gender when I walk down the street in my neighborhood, and a different gender when I visit Kansas, and yet another one when I walk into a drag night. For folks in dominant cultural strata like whiteness and affluence, this may seem like a strange assertion. And that's likely because one of the privileges of belonging to a majority group involves experiencing smaller distinctions between the norms of each cultural location to which an individual may be aligned. The more minority groups we belong to, the less our cultural Venn diagram looks like a circle, and we may feel the shifts in location more intensely. But in spite of myself, I am tickled by this idea of transforming into different genders depending on what room I go into. And this is because my specific sub-identity within the non-binary umbrella is multigender. This means that I feel like my experience contains a number of gender alignments, and certainly at different times one might be at the forefront of my inner landscape while others drift in the background. However, the channel changer on my gender alignment is contained within me. Yes, I always feel more feminine when it's raining, but that's not because someone else looked at me and decided that for me. Other people's opinions don't change my gender. Indeed, no one can decide your gender for you. And this is why I believe that gender is a spiritual construct. So many of the coming out stories I've heard from my fellow trans people have boiled down to, underneath it all, I just knew. And I suppose the converse corollary of this is what I've heard from agender folks, that is, people who identify as having no gender at all. Agender people usually say, as hard as I looked in myself, I couldn't find any gender. Like many of us, when I first started to come out to myself as non-binary, I spent quite some months prevaricating about being not trans enough. I worried about co-opting the identity of this marginalized group. At the same time, I couldn't deny what I felt in myself. I couldn't deny the stunned feeling of rightness that I felt when a friend accidentally referred to me with the pronoun they. I couldn't ignore the realization that my psychic sense of my body was a different size and shape from my physical body in a way that insisted I embrace that sense of myself if I ever wanted to be free. I'm glad that ultimately I found the courage to claim this identity. And since that time, many brilliant trans thinkers have pointed out to me that defining trans belonging by suffering is not good for our community. I have learned to embrace gender euphoria as just as powerful and important as dysphoria. Introspection about gender is not just for people under the trans umbrella either. I've known many cisgender people, that is, people whose identity matched the gender they were assigned at birth, who have spent some time in contemplation and exploration around their own identities. And they've shared with me that when they do this introspection and still discover that they are cisgender, their relationships with themselves and their community deepens. That deep resonance of having a truth within yourself that you just know, it reminds me of how people experience faith. Some people just know God. Some people believe in many things. Lots of relationships to the divine feel right to them. And for some, it changes throughout their lives. And just as valid, some people search within themselves and find no signs of God. In communities like Sanctuary, we make space for open and respectful conversations about our diverse and heartfelt relationships to the divine. And for the same reasons, we celebrate and make space for our diverse and heartfelt relationships to gender. To know your gender is to know your soul. To share that knowledge with others is to reveal a deep place of self-knowledge and to trust that it will be treasured. When I say, hi, I'm Bran, and I go by they, them pronouns, what I'm actually saying is, I invite you into my truth. Will you join me? What might we do together when there is space for each of us to thrive? The goodness of truth, the light of your smile, the gift of your time, making everything worthwhile, the freedom of choice, the sound of your voice, I believe in you. The rush of the day, the still of the night, and the faith that love and harmony are right. We do what we should, we work for the good, I believe in you. And when you find your well runs dry and you're reaching up to the sky, there's another day gonna take its place, so don't give up. No, don't give up. The warmth of the sun, the light of the moon, and the hope that we will stand united soon, when the fighting will cease, when we're finally at peace. I believe in you. You are shining brightly. You are shining with love. You are shining brightly. You are shining with love. And if you find your well runs dry and you're reaching up to the sky, there's another day gonna take its place, so don't give up. No, don't give up. The beasts of the land, the fish in the sea, and the promise we can live with dignity. The heavens above are the power of love. I believe in you. I believe in you. You are shining brightly. You are shining with love. You are shining brightly. You are shining with love. You are shining brightly. You are shining with love. You are shining brightly. You are shining with love.
How about I use this one? There we go. I'll do that. So one of our spiritual practices at Sanctuary Boston is we split the collection plate with an organization that shares our values. And the organization that we're splitting the plate with tonight is called One Iowa. And One Iowa is an advocacy organization for LGBT rights in the state of Iowa. And it has been a very, very busy year for One Iowa. There are 40 pieces of legislation in front of the Iowa legislature that are anti-LGBT. Anybody's guess as to how many of those 40 pieces of legislation One Iowa has already defeated this year? Out of 40, 23? Anybody else got a guess? 10? 33. Go One Iowa. Yeah, 33. They have 7 left, so nothing has been passed. It's only been defeated. 33 have been defeated. There's 7 left. There's one they really have their eye on right now. It just passed the Senate yesterday. It went to the House today.
And this piece of legislation offers a religious exemption so that landlords who offer apartments or restaurants that serve folks, people who have flower shops, can claim a religious exemption so that they don't need to serve LGBT folks. Yeah. So that's going to the House. It went today, and that process has started. So what we collect today will help ensure that our family in Iowa have a place to live, can eat in a restaurant, and can buy flowers. It'll help turn that 33 to 34 so we can give if we believe in them. And I think we get to believe in them. If you're present here tonight, you can give via Venmo. I believe you could give a check in person if that's helpful. If you are at home and online, you can also give through Venmo, and local folks can scan this QR code so many ways. If you would like to contribute to the good folks of One Iowa and you're not quite sure how to do that, just come find me and we'll figure it out. Thank you all.
Thank you, Barb.
You I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. But it's you I like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you. Not your toys. They're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you. Your skin, your eyes, your feelings. Whether old or new. I hope that you'll remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like, it's you yourself, it's you. It's you I like. I hope that you'll remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like, it's you yourself, it's you. It's you I like.
And as we move into There Is a Love, often I think we missed the chance to say, if you have a joy or a sorrow card that you'd like to share, we'll collect it now. So if you have missed that chance, it's not all the way done yet.
Tracy's? Brand's mic? Joe's mic?
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
We know that whenever we gather, we come with joys and sorrows, hopes and prayers on our hearts. If you have come this evening with a joy, a sorrow, a hope, a prayer, or a milestone, know that it is held in this community, whether you tell us about it or not. We'll begin by sharing those joys and sorrows that folks have written, and if you want to give us some music to joy and sorrow by, I'd love that as we pray, and we'll have a chance following that for folks on Zoom to share theirs as well. This is an anonymous mixture of joy and sorrow. This person writes, "My birthday is coming up, and I've been having a hard time with people who forget to use the pronouns and name I prefer. An anonymous person shares this joy. One of my best friends, who I haven't seen in person in 5 years, arrived for a week-long visit. I feel like a piece of my soul has been restored and can't stop smiling. An anonymous sharing a mixture of joy and sorrow. This person writes, I had an old mental health issue flare up this week in a way it hasn't in a long time. It's unsettling, but also reminded me of how far I've come and how much a better place I'm in these days. My heart is so full with all of it. Another anonymous mixture of joy and sorrow. This person writes, it is so wonderful to be back at Sanctuary after almost a year away, but it's also bittersweet because many of the people who were here before are no longer. I have so much love for the friends in my life. They have made me infinitely better. A joy from Harry, who shares the joy of seeing my little baby niece eagerly flip the pages of her first book. A sorrow from Roddy. My dad's friend, Will, passed away on Sunday. He was really sick, but was able to die in his home community in Nevada with my dad by his side. An anonymous sorrow. This person says, emotional stress from the past few months has been catching up with me. In need of a break and a good hug, but those are few and far between. And one final sharing, a joy from Elka. They write, I weaned my last child this week after 10 years straight as a nursing parent. Phoebe is growing up. For these and all of our joys and sorrows, let's sing.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
For those joining us on Zoom, we'd love for you to share if you'd like. You can put in the chat your joy or sorrow, and I'll read it aloud. If you'd like it to be read anonymously, you can send me a private message or a private chat to joe-joys and sorrows. Scrolling up as these had already been rolling in. From Regina, baby R is still having chemo for his brain tumor, but early indicators is that it's being effective. Today is a good day, and we're hopeful. Laura Iverson shares, my dog Gus died of a long-term terminal illness. I know if there is a place, he is sniffing leaves forevermore. He's forever loved. Jalen writes, I feel gutted by the news. Uh-oh, it scrolled. I feel gutted by the news of what happened to next Benedict and all the anti-trans and anti-queer laws and propaganda out there. Elizabeth says, prayers for my cousin who is deciding what to do regarding his father on life support. Camilla shares, grateful to be in this community tonight. Happy to see many new and also familiar faces. From Kathy Ware, sorrow and then a joy. The sorrow first, rage that frozen embryos in Alabama now have more rights than flesh and blood people, and sadness for all the people whose parenting journeys have been put on hold. And a joy, she says, I'm thrilled that my 17-year-old son got to trace Homer's epics. Sorry, it keeps scrolling. Kathy's 17-year-old son got to trace Homer's epics through Greece and Turkey this week with his Latin class. There we go. That's worthy of making sure I say properly. Karishma writes, real gratitude for being back with you at Sanctuary. It's good to be here. A joy from Kit. They write, I got to attend a friend's wedding this weekend, and celebrating them and having time with friends fed me in a way I really needed. An anonymous sorrow. This person has a toothache but no dental insurance. Healthcare should be a right, they say. Hannah shares the sorrow. My cousin took 2 serious falls in her home 10 days ago and is in the hospital recovering, but now has hospital-acquired pneumonia. From Sarah Wider, a mix, hopeful that physical therapy will resolve long-time living with vertigo. But I guess it has to get worse before it gets better? 5 question marks? Joy from Maya. Joy to be here at a new job that really aligns with what I want to do in the world. Grief, holding my friend's family as they grieve the death of their son. Also holding the grief of genocides in Palestine, Congo, and Sudan. Rhea and Katie share, same as others, about Nex. As an Oklahoman who now lives in Massachusetts, there's that heartbreak of knowing that young trans folks are still at risk at home, and also the recognition of the incredible work, rituals, or mourning, and more happening by beloveds in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is still a beautiful place full of wonderful trans folks, and I hope for a better future. Shaya writes, spoke up in a coalition that was considering punishing a leader for a pro-Palestinian tweet that was making relationships with Jewish elected officials tricky. Speaking up felt both a bit scary and really important. An anonymous sharing for those reckoning with new diagnoses. There's a lot of care in the chat for the person with tooth pain. For all of the sorrows and joys and hopes and prayers, let's sing There Is a Love.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love this love.
I invite you to join me in a time of prayer or meditation as we lift up all that's been said and all that we're holding. Source of life, we gather as our truest selves, living with the truth that sometimes life is so painful and filled with sorrow after sorrow, rage-filling moment after anguish. And the truth that sometimes we are so filled with joy, it just spills out. The truth that sometimes we're lost and sometimes we know right where we need to be. For all of the people we hold in our heart, may they know well-being, healing of body or spirit, comfort of soul, comfort of community. For those milestones we celebrate and we acknowledge, for justice, we keep working together. Spread over us your shelter of peace, and let us say, Amen.
So where we are sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary.
In a minute, we'll sing Sanctuary one more time. And then after that, we'll switch to humming and do our candle lighting ritual. As you pass the taper to the next person, I invite you to take a minute to acknowledge the truth that is divine in them and the truth that is divine in you, and the sacredness that comes from knowing each other truly and deeply.
Make us where we are sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew. Make us where we are sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew. Make us where we sanctuary, each made holy, loved right who, with thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy, loved right through, with thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew.
I invite you into my truth. Will you join me? What might we do together when there is space for each of us to thrive?
I hope you'll sing riotously with me.
Riotously.
Riotously. Okay. In this
I
thank you.
think.
Like you're right. I'm like, that is not right. Oh no. Just so we can sing riotously. Okay. In the shelter,
In the shelter
of each other,
of each other,
in the shelter
in the shelter
of our lives,
of our lives,
we are open,
we are open,
we are dreaming,
we are dreaming,
we are hopeful,
we are hopeful,
we are wise.
we are wise.
You know that many times the weight of the world crashes in. We feel angry and afraid. We start to lose our sense of hope, our sense of direction. Isolation, we have learned, will not bring much in return. If we truly cannot live as one. In the shelter,
In the shelter
of each other,
of each other,
in the shelter
in the shelter
of our
of
lives,
our lives,
we are open,
we are open,
we are dreaming,
we are dreaming,
we are hopeful,
we are hopeful,
we are wise. One more time, in
we
the
are
shelter.
wise.
In the shelter
In the shelter
of each other,
of each other,
in the shelter
in the shelter
of our
of our
lives,
lives,
we are open,
we are open,
we are dreaming,
we are dreaming,
we are hopeful,
we are hopeful,
we are wise,
we are wise,
we are open,
we are open,
we are dreaming,
we are dreaming,
we are hopeful,
we are hopeful,
we are wise.
we are wise.
Ashley, thank you for coordinating our music this evening. Thank you, Joe and Tayward and Bran, for adding to the music and the band. I love that we had Reggie Harris is like such a great musician who just did this last song, and we had some Fred Rogers this evening, and also Johnny Blazes, who wrote our anthem for this evening. Child of Pam Charpentier, your greeter. You've been greeted and welcomed into beloved community by this family this evening. How amazing. All right, we've got some invitations for you all. Listen up, because they're good ones. First, our next worship on the first Wednesday of March, which is March 6th, will be over in Cambridge. Be there, be square, as the saying goes. In April, there's two big special events. Number one, on April 6th, everybody say April 6th. Great. That is our de-escalation and community safety training. This training is years in the making. 5 years ago, Sanctuary passed a policy saying, you know what, if someone is being disruptive in worship, whether we're being protested or someone is just like not well and is disrupting things, or if there's someone that's making someone uncomfortable, we're not going to call the police except as a very, very last resort. We're going to train each other up on how to de-escalate situations, how to make our own community safe, how to keep each other safe. We're going to build up those skills, and that's how we're going to address difficult situations whenever possible. And then we decided to train each other up to implement the policy. And then there was a pandemic, and then there was no meeting in person for a while. So now, finally, we are going to have that training, the long-awaited training, and for a lot of reasons. Number one, to give you all the skills to keep yourself safe if you're ever in a difficult situation, to have some extra tools in your tool belt for de-escalating aggressive people or difficult people or avoiding violence, wherever that may be useful. To keep each other safe here in this community so that we can implement that policy we have of not resorting to state violence if someone is being disruptive for whatever reason, and also so that we can train each other up to be supportive to our wider community. We know that Jewish communities, Muslim communities in particular, BIPOC communities all around Boston have asked for people to show up at their mosques, at their synagogues, and offer with skills in de-escalation to help keep them safe and to be able to help de-escalate protesters that may arrive for them. And so this is also tools that we can have to keep our wider community safe. And some of us, every once in a while, go to protests. Unfortunately, there are some reasons to protest. I mean, in the world, God, so many reasons. And that is one more place, I would say a fourth place, where it can be really helpful to have some skills to diffuse difficult situations, whether that's the police being aggressive or dangerous or violent, or counter-protesters. And so we really want to encourage you, all of you, to come join us for this. It also will be available to those of you joining online. It'll be hybrid, happening at this church and online. We're going to have breakfast, we're going to have lunch, we're just going to spend the day together teaching each other how to keep each other safe. Does that sound like a good plan? What's the date? April 6th, you know it. The other thing in April is our retreat. Save the date, April 26th to 28th. We're all going to go just rent a giant house with like 30 beds, and we're just going to spend the weekend hanging out around the campfire and singing together and doing small groups and writing workshops and more singing and worship and cooking each other food and eating it together. Does that sound like a plan? Great. Well, we're going to be sharing the registration for that pretty soon, but please save the date in the meantime. And finally, this last announcement requires models. Would our dishwashing apron models please come to the front?
Hello, friends. My name is Laura. My pronouns are she, her. Many of you know me as the chief dishwasher of Sanctuary Boston. After too many years away from serving each other food and the joy of washing up after enjoying that meal together, we are back. The Sanctuary Boston Dishwashing Ministry has these spiffy new aprons. And here's the pitch I want to make to you. I recently sat down, as you do, to do some strategic friendship planning. And in my strategic friendship planning, I was wondering how to draw people into closer connection with me, which is a thing that we do in spiritual community. And I want to make a pitch for doing chores together as a key avenue to draw people in from being acquaintances who you merely recognize at church to being friends. So if you see me wandering around after worship, proffering these beautiful aprons, think of it not only as a way to serve this community, which it definitely is, but also as a way to deepen your connections to the people who you share this space with. And if you don't want to do it for the chores, and you don't want to do it for the friendship, do it, as the slogan says, for the love of the suds. Thank you, friends.
I asked Laura to do a testimonial, and she was like, I can't do a testimony. I'll just do an announcement. And you just preached so good. Beloveds, the final invitation is to stay a while, chat with each other, stay in on Zoom and check in together about how your hearts are. Stay here together and chat for a while, and maybe even you can get one of those aprons and help out with some dishes. Go and be blessed as you are a blessing to others, dear ones. Amen.